Good afternoon, colleagues and friends. Welcome to this new episode of Workers' Voices, brought to you from Geneva during the 113th session of the International Labour Conference. Today, we are honored to welcome a very special guest, Luc Triangle, the General Secretary of the International Trade Union Confederation. Welcome, Luc, and thank you very much for joining us. Let me begin with the big picture. The 113th sessions of the International Labour Conference is taking place in turbulent times for multilateral institutions, including the UN and the ILO. From the workers' perspective, why it is essential for constituents to continue investing in the ILO and defending, in particular, its normative mandate.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak on this extremely important moment. Indeed, we are living and we are going through a very geopolitical turbulent time. And actually, we don't need, in this period, less multilateralism. We need actually more multilateralism. And we need a strengthening and reinforcing of multilateral institutions, because this is the only way how we can deal with the geopolitical crisis, which is currently the reality for all of us. And certainly, when it's about the world of work, it says it's by itself, it's a world phenomenon. It's not limited to regions. So we're talking about digital transformation. We are talking about climate change and the impact on jobs. We are talking about platform work. We are talking about global supply chains. Everything is global going on. And in that sense, we need a strong International Labour Organization with a normative agenda to deal with these challenges. And why is the normative agenda important? Well, it creates a level playing field for all workers. We cannot say that workers in one region have more rights to get regulation and others shouldn't get these rights to regulation. And the only institution that can deliver on that, on issues related to labor, is indeed the International Labour Organization. So to conclude, the ILO is extremely important in these moments of turbulence. As a multilateral institution, the ILO is extremely important to work further on the normative agenda, because the challenges where workers are faced with today are also global.
Today, this morning, we have the visit of the Director General, just to come back to the ILC, in his report titled Jobs, Rights and Growth, reinforcing the connection. The ILO Director General, Gilbert Ungbo, underlined the critical importance of social dialogue as a way to link jobs, rights and growth, and also as a cornerstone for democracy. As a trade unions leader, in your view, what is the role of trade unions in defending democratic values around the world, in particular in this context of polycrisis?
In 2024, the International Trade Union Confederation launched our global campaign for democracy. In 2025, we continued for democracy that delivers to workers. Because democracy is the umbrella that we all need to embrace. And that is not limited to having democratic elections and having democratically elected leaders. What is core is that once elected, that these leaders defend and reinforce democratic values. And what we see today is that often these leaders are elected through elections democratically, but once in power, they attack democratic values. And what are democratic values? This is the respect for human rights. It's the respect for international law. It is the respect for women, a gender agenda. It's about the freedom of speech, the freedom of press. And that includes also workers' rights and trade union rights. These are also fundamental democratic values. And what we see actually in several countries in the world is that once in power, these so-called democratically elected leaders that want to attack democratic values, the first one to attack are the trade unions. Because we are the largest social movement in the world. Not only the largest social movement in the world, but the largest movement in the world defending democracy. Because we strongly believe that you cannot make progress for workers. You cannot have progress for a society if it's not embedded in a democratic structure. So we are attacked, we fight back. That's why, as Trade Union Federation, Confederation, our democracy is the core of our work. A lot follows. And what we see, to conclude, is that in our Global Rights Index that we published recently now, we see a further decline on workers' rights and on trade union rights. And that goes hand in hand with the decline of respect for democracy and democratic values. So both go hand in hand. If we want to work on workers' rights, if we want to improve them, well, then we also have to work on stronger democratic structures.
We are here at the 113 sessions of the International Labour Conference, and there is a very critical discussions which relates to the platform economy. This year, the ILC, the International Labour Conference, includes a standard-setting discussions on decent work in the platform economy to define the issues regarding the digital transformations. Why, in your view, these discussions is important for workers, but very importantly, how can trade unions help to shape the future of work in this area?
Well, the word says it by itself. Platform workers. These are workers. That's the first point. We need to recognize that the millions of people working on platform economy are workers. And that means when you are a worker, there is no reason why you should not have the same rights as any other worker in the economy. So this is my brief answer on the importance of this convention, because indeed what we see is that some global corporations try to identify them not as worker but as a self-employed or on another status. But often these are bogus self-employed. They are actually workers for a boss and so on. So they are workers and they need to have the same rights as any other worker. And what do we do as trade unions? Well, we organize platform workers, because organizing workers is what we need to do in those sectors. And we do collective bargaining. We have examples where collective bargaining results have been reached for thousands of workers in the platform economy. So unions need to take up that challenge. We cannot leave these workers behind. We need to prioritize them because they are often in very vulnerable working conditions, and that's our responsibility to improve that.
We are here to attend the 113th International Labour Conference. Just to conclude, what are your expectations and hopes from these sessions of the ILC here in Geneva?
Well, first of all, strengthening the ILO as an important multilateral institution, as an important agency and part of the UN is important. And it's not always easy because we're working here in a tripartite context. And that's unique. We exist already more than 100 years as ILO, and we are working here in a tripartite context. So achieving results jointly with governments, with employers, with workers in this extremely difficult geopolitical context and in a multilateral context, achieving results shows the importance of social dialogue, shows the importance of tripartism. And in that sense, what we hope for this session and for this conference is that this is not questioned. And that also means that the ILO must get the necessary financial means to do what it needs to do. It's not a time to cut back on the finances in a time where we are all suffering from geopolitical crisis. We should actually do the opposite, reinforce these multilateral institutions because we need them more than ever before.
Thank you very much, Luc, for this insightful conversation. Thank you also to those who are watching this video. Stay tuned for the next episode of Workers' Voices, where we bring to you stories, voices, and visions from the heart of the labor movement. Until next time, see you very soon. Thank you very much.